So you've been planning your move to Germany. You've secured your visa. You've said your goodbyes to your loved ones. You've also packed your bags and you're ready to hop on the next flight to Germany. Hi, my name is Jenny and thank you for joining me in today's video. By the end of this video, you will have a better understanding of what to expect when you move to Germany and you become aware of things newcomers experience. There is a lot of information out there about Germany, and this clearly hints that there's something quite special about Germany, or there's something unique to Germany that you wouldn't find in other destinations. Germany is not the safest country in the world, although it is generally safe. It's not a country with the highest paying jobs. It's not a country that has great weather. However, there are certain factors that come together to make Germany the ideal place for many people, which I believe that you've done a lot of research and it is reasonable to say that you're prepared for Germany. But let me just give you one tip. Nothing really prepares you for Germany, and it's a place that can work when you are well prepared. It's not to discourage you at all, it's just to give you more information through all the research that you've done and to help you better prepare for what to expect when you're in Germany. So yeah, there are three key areas you should focus on when moving to Germany. And the first being, guess what? Accommodation. In your research, you might have seen that it is quite difficult to find accommodation in Germany. And I will say this is dependent on your final destination. If you're moving to a large city, a big city, for sure, it's going to be quite difficult to find accommodation. But if you're moving to a smaller city or town, it might be relatively simpler comparison to moving into a bigger city. So that's like one thing to already have in mind. Just think about where you're moving and whether it's a big city or it's a small city. So let's look at how you can find accommodation. It's important that you have a general idea about the cost of accommodation where you're moving to, and you can find that out through apps. There are certain apps that you can use. There are other online resources. If you have friends or family living around, you can also ask them. So these are three different ways that you can kind of figure out how much accommodation costs in the city or town that you're moving to. Now, in searching for your accommodation or figuring out how much accommodation costs in Germany or where you're moving to, you'll be introduced to the concept of 1 room, 2 room, or 3 room apartments. And depending on where you're coming from, you might not be familiar with this. So I'll just give you like a short explanation. 1 room apartment is an apartment with a living room and bedroom together. So this is commonly known as a studio. If you see 2 room apartment, it means there's a living room and there's a bedroom. So these are separate. And if you see 3 room apartment, it means there's 1 bedroom, 1 living room, and another bedroom. So there are 2 bedrooms and a living room. You always have 1 living room when the number increases beyond 1. So that's how rooms are numbered in Germany. So just pay attention to that. So another place where you can find the average cost of rent in your final destination. It's something that does exist in Germany, but it's not really talked about. And this is a local rent index, also known as Mietspiegel in German. It is an official, local, and regularly updated database in Germany that gives you the average cost of rent in a particular municipality. It serves as a benchmark for determining fair and legal rent prices within that municipality. So that means the landlords need to price the rent within the range that is set in the local rent index. So that's something that you could also look at. It is in German, however, all websites, I believe, now have the translation feature, so you can just translate the page to the language of your choice and see what the rent is wherever you're going to in Germany. So the average rent. Yeah, accommodation is a big topic. You will also find that when applying for accommodation, it might seem like you're applying for a job. You might need a CV, you might need a motivation letter, You might also need to send in pictures and salary slips and also your SHUFA report. And usually if you're new, you do not have a SHUFA report yet, or maybe you've not even received your first salary. However, if you have a job contract, you can share that with the landlord, and that should show them how much you'll be earning and whether you have a long-term contract or short-term contract with the company. So yeah, it is quite tricky finding accommodation, even if you've done everything right in Germany. So just pay attention to that, especially if you're going to a big city. Another concept that you'll be introduced to in the whole accommodation space is the cold rent and warm rent. Cold rent is usually the base rent that you pay, and warm rent will include utilities. So you will have to pay for your electricity, you would have to pay for heating, you might also have to pay for something else called the Nebenkosten, which is the operating cost of the apartment or the building that you're in. So this will take care of trash, you'll take care of like cleaning. I don't know if you have an elevator, if you have a house master. So it's just the day-to-day costs to run the building, and you pay that every month. So in the end, you will see, when looking, you would find, or you will see the cold rent and warm rent. So just really pay attention to the warm rent, because in the end, that's what you will be paying every month. And don't forget that the cost of internet is separate from that. So it is not included in the rent that you have to pay usually. Another thing to pay attention to outside of the cold and warm rent is the security deposit. And this is 3 months of the cold rent that you pay to the landlord. And it kind of, so it is a safety net for the landlord to rely on in case you move out before paying your last rent, your final rent, or if you've moved out and you have damaged things in the apartment. They can use this money to pay for the things that you've damaged, or if you have extra, if you have any arrears in your rent. So that's money that you also have to think about. It is a maximum of 3 months cold rent. There are 3 ways to pay the security deposits to your landlord. One way is to transfer the money into the account. The landlord needs to create a separate account for this money, deposit the money into the account, and they need to inform you about the interest that is accrued every year and even pay it out to you. I mean, for me, no landlord has ever informed me about how much interest my security deposit has accrued, and they've never sent it to me. I think the money is also not so much, which is why, but I know that generally they're supposed to inform you, and if that's something that you want to pay attention to, then you can also just be informed, and you can get that information from your landlord. I haven't seen or heard anyone use that, but it's something that exists if that's the option that you prefer to go with. Now, in general, the demand for accommodation, especially in bigger cities, is so high, and that also means that you have people trying to scam other people. So just really pay attention to the offers that you receive. Sometimes it's just too good to be true. If you know you're in an expensive city, let's say you're in Munich, and a 2-room apartment in Munich costs on an average, I don't know, 1,000 euros or 1,200 euros, and you see an offer that says you can have a 2-room apartment for 500 euros. I mean, that generally should just set off some alarms, and you know that it is just too good to be true. Another thing that most people also fall prey to is somebody saying they've left the key somewhere. You need to transfer money into the account. Never, ever, ever transfer money into anyone's account before seeing the apartment. If the landlord wants you to take the apartment, you will usually have to go to the apartment with the landlord. You have what they call the Übergabe protocol. So it's a list of the things that are in the apartment, and both of you need to check it and make sure that these things exist at the time of you moving into the apartment. So this is something that is done whenever you're moving into apartment. Don't fall prey to the scammers. Having accommodation here is not Airbnb where you need to pick a key from somewhere and then go open the door. That is usually not the case at all. So just pay attention to that. In general, I have said a lot about accommodation. I think it's also like a big part of you moving to Germany, like finding a place that you really want to stay and a place that, of course, you can afford. So let me just summarize what we've looked at. We've looked at how you can find accommodation. So I said you can use some apps, you can use online resources, you can talk to friends. There's also the Mietspiegel that you can also use. We've also looked at the concept of the number of rooms. So one room, what one room apartment means, what two room apartment means, three room apartment. These are things to pay attention to. We've also looked at what is cold rent versus warm rent. We've also seen the security deposits and how to pay it, the different ways that you can pay it. And we've also looked at how to avoid scammers. So if it's too good to be true, ignore it. That is it for accommodation in general when moving to Germany. Now, another thing is finding a job in Germany. Oh my God. Germany has a good way of attracting talent. So think free education, which is also now changing, but just think free education. Think Chancenkarte, so you can come here and look for a job. Also think about I think it's called the job seekers visa as well. So they have all these attractive things out there to pull you to Germany. And the job market here just presents a very complex picture for international workers and graduates. Like I said, Germany is really trying to attract talents. It's often said that Germany needs skilled workers, so just apply and you find a job. And let me tell you, I mean, you might be lucky, but this is really not the case. It is quite challenging to find a job in Germany. So just psych yourself up, have that in your mind before you come to Germany. You might sometimes even have to lower your expectations when finding a job in Germany. I am generally not sure how to explain what exactly is going on, because on one hand, they want people. On another hand, it's very hard to find jobs. There's a high demand for plumbers, electricians, I don't know, construction workers. And I think even with that, it's quite difficult. But I think that's really what Germany is looking for right now. And if you have a university degree, it is not automatic that you will find a job. It is possible, but it is not automatic. So just have that in mind. So bottom line is just do a lot of research, check the skills that you have, see if these skills are still relevant today. And if they're not, try to upskill yourself, figure out what else you can do, how you can transfer the knowledge that you gained from one domain to the next. Just see if whatever skill you have is still relevant. And as I said, just be ready to realign your expectations in Germany. The third thing that I would like to talk about is integration. I'm sure you've also seen this in your research. Germany is so big on integration. And it makes sense. If you're going to stay here for long term, it's important that you integrate. And one major way that you can integrate into the country is by learning the language. And this can open a lot of doors for you. And this also just helps you navigate the country and also the people, and kind of avoid misunderstandings when interacting with other people. I would advise if you're coming and you don't know any German, just try to get at least A1 German, A2. You can use apps to learn German. If you have friends here, they can also kind of help you. It does go a long way for you to integrate, especially if you're going to stay here long term. Yeah. So these three things for me, I think, are the key areas to pay attention to when moving to Germany. So it's accommodation, how to find it, and how not to be scammed. Second one is just be aware that even though Germany is saying, come, 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 we have jobs, really be prepared to align your expectations on that. And the third thing is just really integrating into the culture. And one major way to do that is to learn the language. Just to summarize, Germany, I think, is a country in general that might struggle to retain talents, just like how they're trying to get talents into the country. You will find that many people come here and there's this like onward migration. So they come here, maybe they even learn the language. They are like the model immigrants that Germany seeks. But it is just quite difficult for them to kind of find their feet in the country. And you notice that many people, yeah, move on to a different country. So that's something that you will also see. You can do everything right, and if the place is not for you, it is really just not for you. So yeah, it is not an easy move, but then for the right person with the right preparation, it is absolutely worth it. I hope this video has helped you in a way. I hope it's not kind of discouraged you from coming to Germany. They're just things to be aware of. All that being said, Germany is a very charming country, which is why people are talking about Germany. People want to move to Germany, which is why I am also talking about Germany. Germany is a charming country despite the challenges. So yeah, go for it. And I hope you do have a lovely time in Germany when you move to Germany. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.